Quick math. By some estimates, the average American household spends close to $273 a month on subscriptions. Other studies put it lower, closer to 220 or even 90. Nobody fully agrees on the exact number, and that disagreement is kind of the point. Because whatever the real figure is, at the end of every single month, that household owns exactly none of it. Not one song, not one movie, not one file. So here's the question worth asking. Why would companies build an entire economy around making sure you never actually own anything? Stick around, because the answer explains everything from your Netflix bill to the house on the corner of your street, and it's not the answer most people expect. Somewhere in the last 15 years, the structure of the economy quietly flipped. We used to buy things. Now we rent access to them, 1 month at a time, forever. Most people never notice the switch happening. They just notice their bank statements getting longer. To understand how we got here, rewind to 2013. Adobe made a decision that terrified its own customers. The company that sold Photoshop in a box, one payment, yours for life, announced it would stop selling boxes. From now on, you'd pay every month, forever, or your software would simply stop working. Designers were furious. A petition against the move gathered over 50,000 signatures. And then something happened that nobody in the industry expected. Adobe didn't collapse. Within a few years, its stock had roughly tripled, and by some measures, more than that. Wall Street had learned something powerful. A customer who buys a product once is a transaction. A customer who rents a product forever is an annuity. And annuities are worth more because they never stop paying. Once that lesson landed, it spread fast. Microsoft turned Office into a subscription. Netflix never sold you a movie, only a login. Spotify made sure you'd never own a song again, only the right to stream it for as long as you kept paying. Somewhere along the way, buying music quietly became a thing your parents used to do. The model didn't stop at software and entertainment. It came for the physical world too. Take cars. In January 2017, Cadillac launched a program called Book. Pay a flat monthly fee, swap between different models whenever you wanted. 5 years later, BMW tried something bolder. A monthly fee just to unlock heated seats in a car the customer had already paid tens of thousands of dollars for. The hardware was already installed. You just weren't allowed to use it unless you kept paying. The backlash was loud enough that BMW eventually walked it back, but only after the internet had a full year to be furious about it. And then came housing. The one thing most people assumed would always stay firmly in the category of ownership. Starting around 2012, large institutional investors began buying up single-family homes in bulk, not to live in, but to rent out permanently. Invitation Homes alone now owns close to 80,000 houses across the country. That's still a small slice of the national housing market, but it's a slice that didn't exist a generation ago, and some analysts expect it to keep growing. The house on the corner that used to be a family's ticket into the middle class had quietly become a line item on someone else's balance sheet. So why do companies want this so badly? A one-time sale gives you one payment and then silences. A subscription gives you a payment today, another one next month, and another one after that, sometimes for a customer's entire life. That predictability is worth real money. Subscription businesses often get valued by investors at several times their annual revenue, while a traditional retailer selling the same category of product might get valued at a fraction of that. Wall Street isn't just rewarding profit, it's rewarding predictability. There's a second, quieter reason. When you own something, the company's relationship with you ends at the register. When you rent something, the company never has to let go. They can raise the price, they can change the terms, they can remove features you used to have, and there's very little you can do about it, because canceling means losing something you've already built your life around. This is where it gets a little uncomfortable. Researchers call it subscription creep. Ask most people how many things they pay for monthly, and they'll name 3 or 4. In reality, most people are enrolled in far more than that, because small recurring charges are almost invisible. $19 barely registers on a bank statement. It's only when you add up 12 of those charges across a year that the number stops being funny. Part of why canceling feels so hard has a name too: loss aversion. Losing something already feels worse than gaining the equivalent amount feels good. If you've paid for a streaming service for 6 years, canceling doesn't feel like saving money. It feels like losing your watch history, your playlists, your identity inside that platform. Companies understand this completely, and quietly, it's one of the most profitable insights in modern business. But renting the world instead of owning it comes with a catch that most people only discover the hard way. In 2022, Peloton customers found out that most of the workout features on a bike they'd already paid over $1,000 for required an ongoing subscription to use at all. Some Kindle owners discovered something stranger. Books they'd already paid for could simply vanish from their libraries when licensing deals changed. Buying a book, it turned out, no longer guaranteed you could still read it 2 years later. And Adobe users learned the same lesson from the other direction. Stop paying for Creative Cloud, and you can lose the ability to even open your own files. Files you made on your own computer with your own ideas. Nobody puts that part in the advertisement. Ownership used to come with a guarantee. Once you paid, the thing was yours, no matter what happened to the company that made it. The rental economy quietly removes that guarantee. Your access now depends on a company staying in business, keeping its pricing the same, and choosing not to change the rules. History suggests you shouldn't bet on all three of those staying true forever. And yet millions of people keep choosing this model anyway. Not because they're careless, but because the alternative genuinely feels harder. Buying a car outright means a large sum of cash upfront. Buying software outright means paying hundreds of dollars before you've used it once. Renting spreads the cost into small, painless monthly pieces. And painless is exactly what keeps people signing up. Here's the trap, on both sides. Most consumers don't get hurt by subscribing to one service. They get hurt by subscribing to 15 of them and never adding up the true annual cost. $20 a month quietly becomes $240 a year, and multiplied across a household juggling 5 or 6 platforms, the yearly bill for content you never actually own can rival the cost of a family vacation. Businesses make the mirrored mistake. They assume that once someone subscribes, they'll stay forever. But churn, the rate at which customers cancel, is the one number that can quietly sink a subscription company. Streaming services have learned this the hard way, watching accounts vanish within weeks of a price hike. Convenience buys loyalty right up until the price crosses a line nobody can see coming. For the companies that get the balance right, the payoff is enormous. Adobe, Microsoft, and Netflix are now worth a combined total in the trillions, built almost entirely on customers who no longer buy things, but simply keep paying to keep using them. So here's the real answer to the question this video opened with. The economics of never owning anything were never really about convenience. They were about turning every customer into a permanent, predictable source of revenue, one small, invisible payment at a time. And the cleverest part is that most of us signed up for it willingly, one free trial at a time, never reading the part that said automatically renews. Before you close this video, it might be worth doing the one thing most people never do. Pull up your bank statement and actually add up every recurring charge on it. If the number surprises you, tell us what it was in the comments. You might not be as alone as you think.